I apologize for the delay. We've been having some technical difficulties. I think now, like in the evening, a lot more people are online, so our system is slowing down a little bit. But my name is Elijah Lee, and I am the founder of Soul and Soul Foundation. So Soul is an online media source for LGBT, the Black LGBT community, specifically inside of New York. And we do touch the hearts of people outside of this geographic area. But we've been around for about 11 years, and our intention is really to continue conversations. So especially around this time, we thought it was our best interest to start a movement where we talk about something called the state of Black queer culture. So the state of Black queer culture is going to be a series that we're having on a monthly basis where we talk about various things affecting the community or pertinent and important to the Black LGBT community specifically. And we're going to talk about the state of the current community and also ways that we can thrive and excel. And that's always the mission of Soul, is to really kind of push conversations, but also get people in action. So this event is also sponsored by MOBI, which is Mobilizing Our Brothers Initiative, and I'll just give a quick shout out to them. But MOBI, the initiative curates free social connectivity events of queer people of color to see their holistic self. MOBI seeks to cultivate the community through MOBI Talks, a personal and professional development series. Our event is also co-sponsored by the Center, and the Center is a cornerstone of the LGBT community in New York City. Each year, there's more than 400 community groups come to the LGBT Center and make connections, find support systems, and take advantage of their many resources. And this event was actually supposed to be last month, but given the stance of what's been happening with the corona, we had to think about other ways to kind of create what's next. So this is now the State of Black Queer Culture remote. So today we're talking about finance, and we have two very important people talking to us today. They are also from the community and they are Black. So we have Kenneth Davis. His pronouns are he and his. And Kenneth Davis is a proud transgender male who is the CEO of the Trans Capitalists, LLC, which is the fastest growing financial literacy resource for the queer transgender community. He has spent the past 3 years of teaching, coaching, and motivating hundreds of queer people around the world. It's easy, straight to the point. Entertaining lessons are relatable. Life strategies provide concrete results and cultivate skills that help people survive volatile economic climates of America, like now. He is a graduate teacher of Rochester Institute of Technology with a bachelor's degree in civil engineering and received a master's of finance from Pace University, Living School of Business. With credit card and student loan debt at an all-time high, job security becoming a thing of the past, Kenneth Davis believes in providing financial literacy education to all youth, and that's key. We also do have Vaughn Williams, and her preferred pronouns are she, her, hers, and she is an investor, international business coach, and tax accountant committed to supporting entrepreneurs and young adults in creating generational wealth for themselves, their families, and their communities. When the market crashed in 2007, and after a very bad divorce later in the same year, she found herself broke and living in her minivan. From that experience and the lessons that she learned, Vaughn dedicates her life to forwarding others and herself and living the best financial life through personal development methodologies. Coaching is her passion, but also enjoys researching stocks and real estate opportunities. Vaughn has a thriving tax practice in Harlem, as well as part of the Social Change Agents Institute. While being a change agent, she travels to South Africa to collaborate with entrepreneurs in Johannesburg, Mafeking, and Cape Town. Vaughn holds a Bachelor's of Science degree in electrical technology from Norfolk State, a certificate in audio engineering, production from the Institute of Audio Research, and certified holistic life coach. She also spent 6 years in the United States Army as a communications officer. She serves as a chair on the board of deacons and chair of the stewardship ministry at her church, where she shares her message of abundance. And she speaks at numerous public schools and non-profits through the community, encouraging others to dream big and follow their passions. So you guys are up to some very big stuff here. So let's get right to the point. I know you guys have some of the questions, but if you guys do have any questions, you can put them in the chat, and we'll have some time in the end to kind of ask our two speakers if you guys have any questions. So the first question is, can you tell me about the queer dollar? I've been hearing about it so much, and I always hear that it's strong, but sometimes my pockets don't look like that. So can you tell me a little bit more about this dollar that everyone keeps referring to?
Definitely, for sure. I wouldn't even call it strong. The thing is that it's related to the buying power. And the buying power is for the LGBT community is 1.7 trillion. The last time I checked, it is the highest. We even beat out our own race, I would say, of African Americans. But the thing is, when you're looking into buying power, it's just letting know the economic state of how strong we are of consumer spending. And for me, that's not good. So as it's saying that, it looks like we have a target on our back where corporations and businesses throughout the world know this and see this, and they're saying, hey, the LGBT community is at 1.7 trillion right now, meaning that they have over $1.7 trillion to spend, meaning giving to them and those corporations of that they take advantage of us. And even for the people out there, I did a quick economics YouTube video talking about this in more greater depth of it. So that's why I wouldn't say it's strong. I definitely would say that it's attractive, because our combined power together, we would be the 10th largest economy within the world. That's insane. And the thing is that everybody knows that except for us. I'll let Vaughn get in because I see Vaughn nodding.
No, I agree with you 100%. And on the flip side of that, if we were to stop spending our dollar in certain areas, it would cause them to kind of shift the way that they handle us, if you will. So in that vein, our dollar is strong. If we were to stop, they would feel it.
Mm-hmm.
Bottom line.
Yeah, and this is why I usually ask when it comes around Pride Month, are corporations really having our back, or are they just really trying to take advantage of us because they see that we have that dollar that they want? And these are same corporations before that would hardly even hire a queer person before, but now all of a sudden you slap a rainbow flag within their logo, they're supporting us, and we feel accepted. And it's like we're kind of like thanking them, like, oh my God, you see us, thank you, and now we're going to give you our money. And then as soon as Pride Month is ending, they're going back to the same corporate policies that are ousting us, especially from the transgender community. The unemployment rate is ridiculous, and it's hard to get a job as a transgender person, especially when you're going through that transition, because according to that, it makes people uncomfortable. And people are not going to be uncomfortable within a job where they're supposed to be happy and working.
Agreed.
Yeah. No, I remember last year, I think with it being World Pride in New York, you did see like this slew of like companies that, like I said, like they threw rainbow into their logo, and then they started selling merchandise, trying to capitalize on the queer community. And I think it's important that I think with the dollars that we have, that we hold these companies accountable to continually, outside of like June in New York City for Pride Month, to like really continue with supporting or supporting us, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, and again, if we were to stop investing our dollar in certain places,
Yeah.
they absolutely feel it. And so, you know, if we want to take it a step further, if we wanted to really, really, really like cause a stink, we could do it. We
Yes.
could really do it. If we wanted to put somebody out of business, we could do it with our dollar, if you will. So our dollar is powerful, you know, and I don't know if we know that yet, though.
No, we do not at all. A lot of people do not know this fact, especially within the queer community. And I urge a lot of people to start researching this and looking it up right now.
So I know you talked about I think taking like holding back our money as well, but I think I want to kind of like shift into I know some of us have a very good abundance of money and some of us don't. And I myself personally was maybe about like I'd say a few years ago was very bad at like managing my own money. So I remember like running up credit cards and like collectors calling, and I didn't want to answer them just because I was a little bit embarrassed once it like when I like got to this point. So the question is like, what happens? I think specifically, I think from like the Black queer community, like what are habits that like you suggest? I think we release, and like what are some habits I think that you suggest like we adopt? I think to achieve quote unquote financial freedom or abundance.
Within,
That's loaded.
yeah, it is. It is like within working with clients and working with people, even entering the door when you're talking about finance, they're all tightened. And I literally understood that I can't reach them. Like I can literally write a whole book of what you need to do with your money and give it to our community. And what I noticed is not many people will pick it up and talk to it because they have that. When you're talking about finances, you're talking about that vulnerability, that taboo of not speaking out about it. And with us, I noticed that there's that block, there's like mental blocks around it or from past histories of traumas around money. I usually say like how you handle money is the way that your parents handle money. And especially with us, even like when I was coming out, I got kicked out. So I never even had a money talk whatsoever. And I had to learn that on my own, where I agree with you, Elijah. I've been in the same point as well, that I was broke, I was homeless, I had nowhere to go, and I did not know what to do and figure out till I picked up a book myself. And that's just me. And this is us having the privilege of being college educated as well. Yeah. So I feel that there's always a lack of education within our community. And it's not even our fault of saying like, poor you that you're not knowing about this, is that we never get the opportunity to do so, especially even being Black. It's already like 3 strikes against us. So yeah. For me, that's what I've been noticing, that we have this block, this trauma that we need to work on and heal, this mental trauma, a mental block that we need to heal first, even before we can start talking about money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agreed. What else am I going to say behind that? That's exactly what I'm going to say. It's a generational trauma. You know, there's shame. You know, money is a taboo subject. Don't you tell nobody what's going on in this house. You know, that sort of thing. Yeah. We all hear that, and it's a mind shift, just like Kenneth said. It's a mental thing, and until we can kind of shift the way that we feel about money, how we think about money, that we understand that money is not bad. Mm-hmm. A lot of us, you know, we hear money doesn't grow on trees, and money is the root of all evil, and this sort of thing, and so there's a bad connotation out the starting blocks, you know, because we have messed up our own credit. Now we go and get credit cards and electric bills and this sort of thing in our kids' names, right? And then they're doomed before they get started. So it's generational. And until we decide that we're going to do something different, we're gonna continue to be in this particular place. Now, in our community, our LGBTQI plus SGL community, we like, yes, we have a lot against us. And when we're trying to survive, we're not thinking about money. It's, I got to eat today.
Yeah.
I got to eat today. How am I going to eat? Okay, I got this credit card. So you swipe your credit card, you know, at the grocery store, and don't have any way to pay it back. And so, and we may even see our parents go into a lot of debt, getting things that we don't necessarily need. And so there's a lot of stuff that we got to unpack, and it does take education. And so, you know, I'm grateful to know that there's somebody else out here, you know, preaching a good word, because you know, as much as I think I can do it by myself, or Kenneth may think he can do it by himself, you know, we can't do it. So I'm glad to see that there's another generation of financial educators, you know, coming behind, that are continuing to break the generational trauma. I don't call them curses. I call it trauma. It's trauma. Mm-hmm. It's kind of in our DNA, if you will. So, you know, he hit it right on the head.
Yeah. No, I remember growing up, and I think I remember two key points was, I think my mom talked to me about credit, and then I think I kind of like poo-pooed her, like I didn't want to hear what she had to say, because I think I wasn't in that space. Like, I don't want to hear, like, you don't know what you're talking about kind of thing. So I think I kind of like dismissed the fact that she did know something. And I do wish like I'd listened to her. And then the other thing I think that Vaughn, you brought up, and I think Kim, you brought it out, is it's a vulnerability piece. So I think I recently kind of like, so I got engaged, but before that, like, it was that process of like, okay, this is an extra level of vulnerability. Like, I was ready to do everything else, and then like the finance was like this, like, you can't see this yet. Like, I need to like, let me clean this up a little bit before I show you. I show you everything.
There's shame around it, because you know, we get to a certain point. How can I be 45, 50 years old? I know you guys are not that old, but how do I get to be 45, 50 years old and, you know, my credit is shot? Yeah. You know, that's a mind thing, and it messes with you. So there's vulnerability, you know, and there's a really authentic conversation that you get to have with yourself. And if you're going to talk about relationships, your partner will understand.
Exactly.
That's the thing that we don't think happens. Your partner will get it most times, and I would say 95% of the time, their finances are jacked up too, or they have been jacked up at one point, and they will help you through it. And if they won't, and they judge you for it, might want to give some thought to the I do's. Just my opinion.
Yeah.
Just my opinion.
Yeah.
Then also the fear of trying something new as well, which I noticed that breaking out of old financial habits, as I'm learning, the rules of our parents do not work for this new generation as they used to. So even if you, like you mentioned that your mom tried to talk to you about credit, that's good and all, but what they had back then does not work for us now. But even me preaching that, notice the hesitation of many people of saying like, well, I'm not seeing many people do this, the actual right way of managing your finances. Oh, well, if they're not doing it, I'm not going to do it either. So that closing off, which continues that generational poverty that Vaughn was definitely talking about. I see it all the time, and it blows my mind that, like I said, I literally tell people what to do from A to Z, and they won't do it because it's not the normal. So we need to release that. Like, we need to be more open-minded and more use our curiosity, because that's what sparked my interest in finances. I literally wanted to know what executives and all these other rich people knew, this 1% knew, that I did not know of what I'm not doing. And that brought me into a whole world of saying like, oh my God, like, oh shit, there's rules to this? There's rules to money? Nobody ever told me this. And even going back to fixing my parents' credit, even fixing their finances and learning that you got to do something new. You got to be curious. You can't have that fear to try something different of what you're usually doing, because they train us as consumers, society.
Right,
They want us
right.
to continually to buy, buy, buy.
Yep.
We never think long term. We always think the short term gain. And even piggybacking off of Von's example of like, yeah, I need to eat. I need to survive. So I'm going to use this credit card and not think about it. But instead of thinking like, if I can buy this meal that will last me 10 days, try to find some type of job or some type of income to sell, that which way I can pay off this credit card, boom, we're not in debt. And I'm not thinking as a consumer, I'm thinking as an investor now. And that's that mindset mentality that our State of the Union, we don't think about that. We don't think in long term.
So I think thinking long term, it takes steps. So what are some of the, I think, maybe like 5 steps that you want us as a community to kind of like maybe start mapping on or trying out to head into like a good direction? Like what are the, like, if you set us down, what would maybe like, I don't want to take all like your secret sauce away, but what may be like the first like 3 steps to like starting to like work on this process?
Decide what you want.
Yeah.
Decide what it is that you want. What do you want? What do you really, really, really want? Like go long, dream big. What do you want? And we reverse engineer. And you know, we start from where we're at, figure out what you want. That's my number one thing. What say you, Kenneth?
My number one thing is always map out before you spend. Always map it out. Like understanding that if you want to eat, or if you want to buy a house, or if you want to go on vacation, then map it out first. And especially when you receive large sums, like this is tax season, when you get that refund, 9 out of 10 people never ask that, how can I plan this? Where is this money going to? We just automatically want to pay off debt. And that's number 2. Do not be quick to pay off debt. I always say first, just make out a plan of saving some of that, because we don't save whatsoever. So definitely mapping it out and save big time. And don't be quick to pay off all these debtors, because there's been times where I paid off debt so fast, an emergency came up, and that was my ass.
You're right back in debt again. That method doesn't work.
Exactly.
Right. It doesn't work.
That's so true.
Especially right now, I think like an emergency fund is important right now, especially with the fact that like people are losing their jobs, or they like are getting furloughed, or like they're getting their wages like reduced a little bit. That emergency fund would come in handy right now to support times like these.
What I would say, especially that I notice with times like this, people need to recognize how important your dollar is. So now that since people got laid off, they're not spending as much, now all these businesses are shutting down. That's big.
Yeah.
That goes back to number 1 of how important your dollar is.
It's huge. And you know, Kenneth mentioned early about education. So now is a good time to educate ourselves.
Yes.
And figure out exactly how money works. Ask and looking at the future, you know, looking at your kids if you have kids, and what is it that you want for them? How's your credit health? You know, do you have life insurance? And if you don't have life insurance, you know, at least put something aside.
Yes.
So that we can set you on fire. And you can go out of here with some dignity. I mean, I'm making light of it because it's morbid, but you know, I don't want to leave nobody nothing. Hey, that's your business, no judgment, but don't leave us in a bind. Don't leave your kids in a bind. Don't leave your spouse and your loved ones in a bind. They're already mourning because you're gone. Like, don't stress them out. Have a plan. It's too easy. You know, get a will. Oh, I don't have anything. Get a will anyway.
Yeah.
Write it down. You need to have something in writing to tell your successors or your point of contact or your beneficiaries what happens with your estate. I don't have no estate. I don't care. Put something down on paper so that we know what to do should something happen. And life insurance is really income replacement should something happen to you, so that your family can still survive without your part of the household income. So insurance, life insurance, death insurance, call it what you like, is really income replacement. It's really important. Keep your credit healthy. Figure it out. If you know, there's all kinds of ways to fix it. Sit down with somebody who understands how that game works. And it's all a game. I'll say this and I'll leave it alone. Money is an excellent servant. It is a bad master.
Yep.
Money is a very bad master. It cannot control how we live. If we are out buying Gucci shoes every time we get paid and we didn't pay our rent, it is our master.
Yes.
Money is a very bad master. Understand how it works. Make it your servant and make it work for you. Good time to educate because we got time. Well, I don't have time, but we got time.
No, there's a lot of financial products out there that actually benefit us.
Yes.
Like when you talk about life insurance, what automatically came to my head was annuities.
Yes.
Not a lot of people know about annuities. I just learned about annuities myself, and I was just like, this is amazing. Why does nobody else know about this?
Yep.
Everybody wants to get rich quick. That's why. What stock should I invest in?
Oh my God.
I don't know. I'm not telling you. Well, I mean, I could, but you know, I'm in it for the long haul. I don't do short. So that's not my forte. I don't know how to do it. That's an intricate science. Go pay somebody to teach you how to do that. The get rich quick doesn't work. It doesn't work. So, you know, if I'm going to give you a stock tip, according to what I think, or to what I've been studying, it's for the long haul.
Exactly.
And annuities, for all intents and purposes, are for the long haul. But nobody wants to talk about that.
Yeah, long term thinking.
You guys already kind of started talking about the next question, but like how important is the credit score, and then you talked about, or you mentioned life insurance, so we didn't ask about that, but how important is this credit score to live? Why should we be paying attention to it?
Credit score is just where borrowers just want to know how good you are at paying back their money. That's the real truth behind credit score. And I say with credit scores, it depends where you are in your life and what you're trying to go get. Because of course, if you're buying big expenses like a car or a home, your credit score is going to play a huge major factor within that part. But if you're just starting out and you're just trying to get your money together, focus on getting your money together. Do not focus on your credit score. Credit scores go up, they come down. You can fix them. And what I'm noticing, especially within my community, the transgender community, there's a lot of people who are going bankrupt, especially off of like the surgeries or not being able to afford just their daily things. And it kills them. And they have that mental thing that's saying like, oh my God, I'm sweating. My credit score is horrible. I can't do anything. Stop that right now, because you can always rebuild. You can always get better. It's going to go better if you do what you need to do and manage your finances properly. So that's how so in my teachings, I want to take away the fear of credit scores, because that's just what they are. How good are you at paying back your money, and how good you are for me to give you this money so I can get my money back. That's it. Don't sweat over it. Don't cry over it, because if you do what you need to do, you can rebuild them. Boom.
I mean, what else is there?
Yeah.
You know, what else is there? It just depends on where you are in your life and what you want. You know, I tell people all the time, especially young people, if, you know, concentrate on where you're at, just kind of like where you're at, where you said, and going forward, if you keep your credit score healthy, you can have whatever you want. You live in the neighborhood you want. You can drive the kind of car you want. You're going to have the kind of house or apartment or condo that you want. You can take the vacations that you want. Just, you know, but again, like don't go stressing and obsessing about it. People won't even look at their credit score, and it's not that bad. Oh, I defaulted on my Sprint bill, 10 years ago. My credit score is, trash. That was 10 years ago. Just go look at it.
Mm-hmm.
See what it is. People stressing for nothing. So, I agree 100%. It depends on where you are. Don't worry about it. It is all good. It's fixable.
Yeah, it's people think like it's set in stone when it's not.
It really isn't.
Up and down all the time. And then they create it in a way to trap you too, which I don't like, because if you don't have credit, you get penalized.
Mm-hmm.
If you have too much credit, you're penalized. If you pay off your debt faster rate, you're
Mm-hmm.
penalized.
Yep.
So it's kind of like a trap that they have for you. And this is why I say, like, don't know the game, learn their game, and you'll understand that you have nothing to worry about. As long as you're keeping your payments on time, which is a huge, I believe that's like 35% of your credit score. If people look on my social media, I have a whole post about credit score of the percentages of what it's to, and kind of like passing the test. Like if I need to get like a B, I just need to do one final exam. That's kind of is with credit. Like if I just keep paying it on time, keeping it, the number of credit cards you have out, keeping that to low, stop falling for retail credit cards and going for the bank credit cards, your score can jump dramatically just by following those 3 simple rules right there. So yeah, don't sweat it. Stop building into the fear, because that's what they want you to do. Honestly, that's how they trip you up, and that's how they keep you in debt.
So I wanted to switch gears a little bit. I know like we're in this pandemic, and there was the release of the stimulus package. So can you explain a little bit more about this? Like I understand a little bit. I know I'm not getting it, but like, can you explain a little bit more about the stimulus package and where that money is coming from, and like how that may affect our taxes?
Are you speaking about the Rona check?
The Rona check. Yes, Miss Rona check. She coming in. She coming in.
Well, I believe that a lot of people think that it's free money, and it's not really.
Mm-hmm.
It's an advance on your refund for next tax season. That's the most basic way that I can explain it. So every time the government gives us a credit early, they end up taking it back the following tax year. Don't believe the hype, people. This is not free money. It is not free money. It's an advance on your refund. So your refund for next year will be either lower or you're going to owe, right? Depending on, what your tax bracket is, how you file, all of that. I also believe that, that those that are on disability and fixed incomes and this sort of thing are eligible to get it.
Yeah.
But there's something else that they got to go through to get that. It's a very simple return that they'll file. They haven't released any of that yet, but they do say that they can get it. They will not have to pay it back because they don't file income tax returns for all intents and purposes. I would still be really, really, really weird about that though, because they got to get that back somehow. It's got to make it fair across the board for everybody. $1,200 per individual, $2,400 per married couple, up to $75,000. And then it will decrease. The $1,200 will decrease in increments up to $99,000. After $99,000, if that is your income, you do not qualify. For individuals, for married couples filing jointly, I believe it's 150,000, 198,000, something like that.
Yeah, 198.
198. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like it in a nutshell. But please do not believe the hype. And they said that they were going to start to release those checks in 3 weeks. It's impossible, especially since they're going to release the checks to your last known direct deposit information on your last filed tax return. So if it was in 2018 was your last filed tax return and the banking information has changed, then it's going to take you a little bit longer to get your Rona check. It's going to be a mess. My phone is already ringing. People are already sending me text messages. When is it coming? Is my information up to date? Oh no, I didn't file 18. Can you hurry up and file my 18 and 19? So it's confusing, and it's going to get more confusing, and it's going to become more of a Charlie Foxtrot. Never mind. Oh, you went to West Point. You know what that is. It's okay. It is. That's exactly what it's gonna be. But anyway, yeah, that's the Rona check.
And I think now with I guess I know some people are furloughed and some people have like wages that are kind of like adjusted a little bit by their companies. Like, what are some of the tips that you guys have for people to save money like now? Like, what's important? Like, what should we be doing to kind of let's make sure that we are maintaining?
Yeah, definitely reevaluate your expenses. This is a time to know that if you're not going to the gym like that, even though it's closed, cut that out. If you can borrow passwords from your friends' streaming services so you don't have to pay for your own, just honestly reevaluate your expenses and prioritize. Because there might be times now that you can't pay all your bills. So which bills are you going to pay for? And the most important are food and shelter, I say, to have a roof over your head and have some food in your belly. But there are going to be times where you can't pay for it all. That's what happens. But just reevaluate and sit down with your partner to make a plan right now and save. Like, this is not a time to be paying off debt. And then also, I've been getting this from a lot of people that they're thinking now is the best time to buy stocks and they want to be into the stock market and all that. Cut that ish out and just worry about saving your money, just holding on to as much money as you can, because there's not an end date to Corona. It's not going to be like, oh, May 5th, Corona's over. We got it all cured. We don't know how long this is going to be. We don't know how long this is going to go, how far it's going to go. I've been reading up on the Great Depression, and right now it's looking a lot similar to what's happening right now.
Yep, absolutely, and correct. Food and shelter, and the Rona check. What they want to have happen, they're calling it stimulus so that we will put it back into the economy and buy things. That's why they call it stimulus. Stimulate the economy, buy things, go to the restaurants, invest, right? But again, food and shelter. And in the beginning, they were saying they were going to give it twice. We know that they're giving it once. So that's $1,200 or less. Oh, I'm sorry. And $500 per child under 16 or younger that you claim. So food and shelter, everybody. If you just have to do the stock market, if you just have to invest, and I'm not mad with you, please. I'm a big proponent of that. Do it in a way that you're not neglecting your priorities.
Yes.
Robinhood, these apps, buy pieces of stock, but don't go into the stock market thinking that you're going to get rich when you come out of this. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Even though we're headed towards depression, yes, a lot of these companies and the banks and the stimulus and all of this whole thing, they're not going to let their stock and their value go to zero. So the crash is not going to look like a zero crash. This is just my opinion for entertainment purposes and informational purposes only. But you get to be smart. If all you had coming in was a $1,200 Rona check, because unemployment is taking a long time. People are not through. Yes, you'll get the unemployment if you qualify, but how long is it going to take for you to get through to actually get approved? That's been a problem as well. Even if you don't think that you qualify for unemployment because you're still getting paid right now, if you're under contract and your contract ends in 2 weeks, guess what? You're going to be unemployed. Get on the unemployment site now and try and keep trying.
Yep.
And keep trying and keep trying. And if you're a small business or independent contractor and you get to have one of these SBA loans, try. You don't have nothing to lose. All they can say is no. And I don't want to put panic in the atmosphere, but yeah, we're on lockdown for another month. I think April the 29th.
30th.
We're on the 30th. Yeah, we're on lockdown for another month. And unless you're working on your next contract, please apply. It can't hurt. Again, all they can say is no. Be smart, plan, food, shelter. Stepping down off my soapbox.
I hope to see like an end of Corona. So what are some things, I think, past Corona that we should be like, if we're nearing the end, what would be things that we need to secure ourselves to kind of like jump off past Corona, outside of like what you said, like making sure we're on a budget, but anything else, like as soon as like Rona's done, like what's that next step that we should be looking at?
Honestly, I say financial literacy courses and classes. If you don't have them, like honestly, you need to educate yourself, because if you don't know what to do with your money before Corona, you're really not going to know what to do with your money after Corona as well. And the only thing that fixes that is education.
Yeah, it's going to be very different. It's going to be very different post-Rona, right? So, he's right. Education is absolutely key. And if you ain't got it, please, just because you get off lockdown doesn't mean that you go to the stores and buy up everything.
Exactly.
That you missed.
Stop it.
Or you if going on vacation is not your thing, don't decide now that you're going to take a 10-day trip to Cancun just because you think that you've been released, or you got your get out of jail, and you haven't planned for what's going to happen, especially if you didn't get your job back, or you didn't get another contract, or business has stopped. I'm going to stay with the food and shelter. Food and shelter for what? At least another 3 to 6 months. Food and shelter. Then we can look at some other things. But we gotta wait for the economy to start swinging back up before we get back to regular.
The new normal, I would say. The new normal.
Oh yeah. Last month's normal is no more.
Exactly.
It's over.
Post what you knew pre-Corona is never coming back.
Never coming back.
It's gone.
Yeah. Now some of it can go and stay and don't ever surface its head ever again. Some of that mess can stay back there. We can source positive things. That's what I'm saying. We can source abundance at this particular point. We're heading towards zero. So we can, at this particular point, if we hit bottom, we can only place we can go is up. So we can source abundance and financial stability, moving forward.
Cool. So I think we have a few questions from the audience. So one of them was, can you discuss the thinking about saving in relationship to debt when many debts incur interest right now, especially I guess right now, like why would you want to like save a little more versus attack the debt?
Oh, it's simple, because emergencies and other things will always come up. Debt is going to incur interest at a certain rate, but if you don't have nothing for yourself to even turn that into more income, you're going to be screwed either way. Like, for example, I'll give a time that when I was seriously broke and homeless and everything, I couldn't pay my debts like that I first got a job that I had to pick and choose which bills to pay. And when I didn't pay that bill, of course, the interest rate incurred. But since I saved up and on the next paycheck, I had way more than enough that I was able to take care of that bill, knock it out, and continue on. That's when I say like it's better to save and have money always, to have a safety net. It's not an emergency fund. We're in a time where everything is emergency technically right now. So you need to save that. You need to save that money. Debt is always going to be there. It's not going away. You need to think of it as a mortgage. Even when you buy a home, you're taking out a debt for 15 to 30 years, but you have a problem with paying, skipping a bill to save for yourself. And then that's that mentality that I go back to, saying that a lot of people want to pay yourself first before you pay off your debts. And that's what you're supposed to do. And you're going to fight me on it and think I'm crazy, but I'm telling you, that's the right way. That's the best way. Boom.
Your cash is king. Hold your cash. Pay what you need to. Hold on to your cash. For now.
I love you, Vaughn. Finally, there's like somebody else out there that.
I think that's important. I think you tying back to even like with credit score, if you are looking at that, if you paid all of them down very quickly, like if you go down to like 0, then you may hurt your credit score, because now like, no, you're not spending any money on this. So like, why would we want to give you or keep a score up if you're not doing anything, if you're not like cycling through those cards? So
pay it off slowly. It's like there's even that penalized, like if you paid off, if you had credit card debt of like 10K, and if I give you a check of 10K and you paid off that credit card debt, your score is going to drop. And that's a fact. You would literally have to break it up and pay it in pieces over time, and your score will dramatically rise. But that's how it works. It's a crazy game. But I didn't make the rules. I just know how to play it.
So I don't think we have any more community questions. I just peeked over, but can you share how can our audience reach out to you if they have any more questions, follow you, what are your social media handles, websites, and stuff like that?
Oh, my social media handles is The Trans Capitalist. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. That's and definitely YouTube. I do have a few YouTube videos for people to check out that breaks down credit scores, breaks down the economics, and I also teach online classes for people managing their money, learning how to manage their money as well. And then also if you want to go advanced, I do passive income and investments later, but just always look for the level 1. And that's, again, I'm Kenneth K. Davis. You can call me Kenny. And once again, you can find me as The Trans Capitalist on all social media platforms.
Awesome. I'll be following you. And on Instagram, I am _don't-die-broke_. And on everything else, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Vaughn Williams. My business page on Facebook is Vaughn Williams, Your Business and Money Coach. And our website is www.taxbarservices.com. And we know that the tax season has been extended to July the 15th. If you need some support, please reach out. We are still open. We are still doing tax returns. We're also helping fill out the SBA loans or the stimulus, paycheck, PPP, I forget the name off the top of my head. We're helping small business owners and independent contractors fill that out as well. So hit us up. We will support you.
So,
Cool. So thank you, both of you, for helping out. And Elijah Lee, and this was our first State of Black Queer Culture. We're talking about finance. Next week, you'll tune back in on Wednesday, and we'll actually be talking about mental health in the community, what's going on right now, and what's been going on historically with the community, and how we can thrive and maintain our mental health. That is an important part to our well-being. So thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.